Welcome to another episode of Business Beat with me, Odette. As 2021 comes to a close, so does Business Beat for this year. We've learned so much, and we've had the privilege of talking to a lot of entrepreneurs from all spheres of South African life. Amazing people doing extraordinary things. Take a look at this.
As a people, they can achieve tremendous things. It just requires reconnecting with that energy, with that spirit.
As brands, so you have to be in the space where you engage your consumer. You want to get them interested in what you're selling, what you're providing as a service.
I feel that we underestimate the potential and the power that social capital has.
That it takes a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication, almost a calling for somebody to become successful as an artist.
At the heart of every business is their brand. And a lot of businesses turn to ad agencies and brand builders to help them build their brand. I had the privilege of sitting down with Veli and Z from Avatar, an ad agency who are doing amazing things. This is a local independent company who took their local business to the continent and now to a global stage. How did they do that?
I'd break it into three categories. White-owned agencies that are white-owned and white-founded, that some refuse to transform and some are transforming. So that's one category. There's the second category that have chosen to transform by having black ownership through the pressures of legislations and so on. And then there's the third group, which we fall under, which is black founded and black owned. So we set up as a black owned startup. So we've gone through all the phases. Now we are in the next phase of just being a black owned agency that is going global.
We said to ourselves, we want to be amongst the best agencies in the world. So when we look to compare ourselves with anybody, we're going to compare ourselves, on a global scale, right? So this went to an extent that even our financials are reported in dollars instead of rands. There's a reason why we do that, because we keep on reminding ourselves of the vision that we want to play in a much bigger space. Now, because we are black owned, we will be categorized as a black agency because we are black owned.
Yeah.
But our ambitions, right? I mean, when you look at that statement, it means that we are a very big fish in a very small tank, in that category.
That is true.
And there's a whole ocean out there that we should be swimming in.
Here in South Africa, sportswear, sports apparel is generally a big brand, generally a global brand, and this is where most people turn for what is cool, what is kicking, and what is happening. I had the privilege of talking to Sammy, who is a local sneaker and sportswear manufacturer. He is putting South Africa on the map in this particular space. He is crushing it with his kicks.
At the age of 14, I find myself having to wait 6 months for a pair of shoes. My dad was the only one working at home. 4 kids, and my mom was not working either.
Yeah.
So if you have to wait for anything that they need at school, you're gonna wait for a very long time.
Right.
So then I found a need to start my own business. At the time, I was not even thinking it's a business. I was looking for a way to fend for myself. And I started to sell ice cream on the street of Tembisa. And when that business started to be clustered by other players, meaning our young people, because they see what I'm doing.
Of course, and then they're going to follow, right?
Correct, yes.
Yeah.
And I then started to sell chickens. But for me, what I looked at was why we don't have a sports brand that is from Africa to the world. We have over 20 brands that are from overseas that are coming to South Africa. We consume for many, many years. We've been consuming those brands.
Yeah.
But why are we not creating our own sports brand?
The role of technology in business. How can anybody actually ignore technology, especially when the Internet of Things is right upon us? We are amidst the fourth industrial revolution. This means that consumers have every kind of gadget that is smart. And we're migrating into smart homes. Our watches are smart. It's not just a computer anymore or a smartphone. We are all about gadgets. Toby Shapshak, the guru of all things gadgets and stuff, sat down with me and we got to talking about how this is incorporated into everyday living, as well as how it should be incorporated in business.
I'm a hard news journalist who kind of went on a holiday in tech news. I'd been covering the Truth Commission, the Winnie Mandela hearings. I was working for a wire service called SAPA that unfortunately no longer exists. And my old editor at the Mail and Guardian phoned me and said, there's a job here. We want you to be the technology editor. So I went back and I only had to write one feature a week. What I understood about technology in the early days was how much potential it had, but how hard it was to understand. So I watched in my career as a journalist how things changed. I got a cell phone. I was one of the few young journalists who had a cell phone. I had my own laptop. I used to sit at the Truth Commission and type my notes as opposed to everybody else writing their notes.
Yes.
And it was just using the technology and seeing how much more useful it was to do things than not. You know, if you're a reporter and you're making notes on a pad, you've got to type the notes from the pad into a computer to use them. And of course, my passion for technology, it was being in the right place at the right time, I suppose, Odette. It was the late 90s.
Yeah.
Technology was blossoming.
Right on the brink of the change.
You know, and that's, and unfortunately, for the first 10 years of you know, the kind of internet revolution from, let's say, 1995, for the first 10 or 15 years, the using of the computer was very complex. Windows was very complex. And similarly with smartphones, until a few years ago, you really had to have a bit more skill than necessary. It wasn't like just driving a car.
Technology, technology, technology. Everybody's talking about incorporating technology and making sure technology is at the heart of your business. But what about the humans? What about Humanware? I had the privilege of talking to the CEO of F&B Connect, Bradwin Roper, about his thoughts on how Humanware is transforming banking and technology.
Back in the day, we had this concept of hardware, and everyone was talking about how much RAM you had, what the size of the machine was. So that was, I guess, the first iteration, was this hardware phase. Then we migrated to this concept of software, and everyone was talking about, are you on Android, iOS, you know, killer apps and the likes. You know, a lot of people are talking about the Internet of Things, right? So the Internet of Things is here. The Internet of Things, there's nearly 12 billion connections to things in the world today.
Okay.
So when you are designing and implementing solutions, you have to tailor your solutions to your audience. So for example, cell phone banking and USSD is still prevalent on feature phones. So you have to make sure that, you know, your USSD dial string can still cater to that market. But rightfully so, you know, you have a lot more access to a lot more capability. So if we think about our COVID relief program, we launched that on and inside the banking app. But what we also did was we repurposed our physical points of presence, right? So when a customer comes in and they might have a feature phone, is how do we help them, you know, on the platforms that we have inside our physical premises, right? The new norm of helping people get digitized, I think that's something that we need to grapple with as well. So not just access, but also education, making sure that the content inside your platform is understandable right down to a segment of one.
The big thing that stood out for me during 2021, amidst all the chaos of the global pandemic, various stages of lockdown, fears, businesses in lockdown, a recessed economy, and everybody just fearful and concerned for the future, I've learned that there's nothing like a little bit of a pressure cooker to get the creative juices flowing, where entrepreneurship has come out of unexpected places and ordinary people are doing extraordinary things. I think 2022 is going to be a year that is a game changer, because if you thought things can be done as they were all the time, you couldn't be more wrong. Business is changing. Technology has changed that, but technology can never be a replacement for creativity. And all the gadgets and top tech in the world can never ever outshine the human beings, the Humanware. If you missed any of the episodes of Business Beat, all you need to do is go to the Morning Show's Facebook page at Morning Show SA, search for Business Beat, and you can pick up on all the episodes that you missed. You can also catch the podcast any time of day on Spotify. All you need to do is look for the Morning Show or look for Business Beat with me, Odette, and you can catch up on everything business, entrepreneurship, and more. In the meantime, until next year, stay safe, wear your mask, and don't forget to sanitize.